start with some disaster awareness. Of course, yesterday and over the last few weeks, we've seen exceptionally heavy rains and flooding across the country. And I think yesterday was the peak of perhaps the disaster, especially in areas of Athi River, in Ruaka and Kasarani, in areas of West Pokot, and elsewhere across the country. There's a spread on page 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the Daily Nation, just detailing exactly how dire things were. I think anyone who spent time on social media yesterday saw people canoeing their way out of estates. I saw Eric Omonde in Mathare as well, trying to get people out, people who are stranded on their rooftops, just trying to rescue them and get them to safety and to higher ground. And the same situation was repeated across the country. The Kenya Red Cross, as well as other services, were there doing disaster management and trying to get people out of flooded areas.
Yes, and of course, this is something that caught us unexpectedly, in as much as maybe people are joking about how we're being asked about boats during the census. Now it's a moment where we see it as a serious thing. Nobody predicted this, and right now we're looking at more than 10 people who have lost their lives in the last 3 days following heavy rains in Nairobi and its surroundings. We're also looking at water raging in different spaces, and people are losing roads, 2 bridges, and even worse, that people are losing property and homes. I wouldn't imagine right now that some people have been sleeping on the rooftop in areas like Githurai. In areas like Kasarani, there was a milk van that was almost swept off the road, a PSV vehicle. Imagine being inside a vehicle and you're trying to move to the other side and your vehicle is actually swept off. So this is a situation whereby it's actually caused our president to direct formation of a multi-agency team. And of course, the Azimio chief, Raila Odinga, has called for the president to declare this a national disaster. I don't know why by now it's not been declared a national disaster, because people are losing their lives, property as well. And not even to speak that biashara ya watu, livelihoods, are being changed, and with the journalists that are taking their time to actually cover that, with the people at home who are using their phones to actually make a report. Let's be a little bit sensitive on, especially for people who are not trained, let's be sensitive on the kind of images we're sharing. But for the journalists, you're doing a great job to make sure that we get front row seat in what's really happening in different parts of the country.
The multi-agency team that you mentioned, as directed by President William Ruto, will consist of the Interior Ministry, the Arid and Semi-Arid Lands and Regional Development, the National Youth Service. All of them are working together to, of course, step up efforts and get these floods, not the flooding under control, but perhaps the response to it under control and get people to safety. I want to share just a few tips in case the rain does continue and flooding does continue, from the Kenya Red Cross, of course, that the minute you notice your area is flooding, immediately evacuate to a higher area. The minute you notice that, there's an inch of water, 2 inches of water, 3 inches of water, and it's getting dangerous, be sure to evacuate to a higher area. And the idea that imagine kidogo haiwezi nisongesha is very, very warped, because 6 inches of water, which is very little, is what you think is enough to actually sweep you away as a grown human being, leave alone a child.
And of course, there's hazards. Switch off electricity at the main switch if the house is flooded. Avoid parking, driving, or conducting activities along streams or rivers during the floods. I've seen in some estates, estates marooned with water. Unatoka hivi nje unapata you can't see your car. It's actually been underwater throughout. And avoid power lines and muddy waters where power lines may have fallen.
True. Yeah. And of course, if you are able to use a stick to test the depth, please do. If you're in a flooded area, you're trying to move, at least tumia kakijiti to feel the depth of the water. And driving over flooded areas, do not drive over a flooded bridge or anywhere that you see the water is too deep, you can't see the end, you have no idea how you'll get to the other side. Don't take the risk. Of course, listen to news, listen to the TV, listen to the radio to get updates on the flooding and exactly what your area looks like.
Red Cross have given a hotline, and I believe that it's something that we can share. That is a hotline by Red Cross. One has been given by Nairobi City County. That is 1508. It's a toll-free number. You can report all accidents and incidences on the emergency line. That is 1508. Aoni Kanjo. But of course, if you'd like to get in touch with if you want to get in touch with Red Cross, 1199 is an emergency response number. Please be alert and stay alive.